CTV News, this is Canada AM with Beverly Thompson and Seamus O'Regan.
You are sending a clear and powerful signal of your commitment to improve the lives of the people of the region and close this tragic chapter in Sudan's history.
A unanimous vote from the United Nations Security Council to send thousands of soldiers to Darfur in what would be the world's largest peacekeeping force. The contingent of 26,000 troops is expected to arrive in Sudan later this year. It's all in an attempt to quell the 4 years of violence and bloodshed that has plagued the region. Hillel Neuer is the executive director of the United Nations Watch, a non-governmental organization that monitors the performance of the UN, and he joins us now on the line from Geneva. Mr. Neuer, first of all, tell us, where will these 26,000 troops come from, and what's their primary mission in Darfur?
The new force will primarily be sourced, as the resolution says, from African nations, unless not enough troops are available. But we're looking at a force that will primarily be made of African troops, and its mission is to protect civilians in Darfur who've been subjected to mass rape, killings, displacement, to prevent armed attacks, and to protect humanitarian workers. So it's a rather robust mandate in UN terms, although it is, of course, a defensive mandate.
For many Canadians who are listening, we immediately associate ourselves as a peacekeeping nation, and therefore, when you think of, okay, this is the world's largest, you immediately make the assumption that we're going to be involved. However, Canada's Minister of International Cooperation, José Vanier, says that Canada has not been asked to contribute any troops, and I'm wondering if that could change.
It certainly could in the long term. Once a force is on the ground, certain political dynamics are created. Support for Darfur is very deep and pervasive in countries like Canada, the United States, Western Europe. And once the force is on the ground, and this force being made up of troops from African countries that don't have the kind of training that Western troops have, we may well see a situation down the line, not in 6 months, maybe not in a year, but perhaps in a year and a half or 2 years, where countries like Canada are approached. Certainly in the short term, we will see appeals to wealthier Western countries like Canada for, at a minimum, financial contribution and perhaps also logistics.
The Sudanese government has denied that, or at least waged a campaign to deny that there are any problems in Sudan. They say that less than 9,000 people have died, but general estimates internationally are that 200,000 people have died in this conflict. It's notable that the United Nations passed this unanimously. In other words, they got China's vote. China has extensive oil holdings there. Tell me, how much cooperation will be achieved here, and what had to be watered down in order for it to get China's approval?
Well, a lot of things were watered down. The resolution is an important step forward, but clearly this resolution and this force alone cannot solve the problem. The resolution no longer authorizes the seizure and disposal of illegal arms. The text, as it's phrased now, says the force can only monitor the existence of arms. And so we're looking at a situation like the failure in Lebanon, where the UN troops are there and they're just monitoring the rearming of Hezbollah. Finally, there's no threat of sanctions. This is key. Gordon Brown warned that it could still happen, but the UN resolution does not authorize sanctions. And as you mentioned, China fought and won to exclude the threat of sanctions. China, of course, has these enormous oil interests and doesn't want those to be challenged.
Okay, Mr. Neuer, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.